Today I'm going to try my first ever clock mould, and this was a Happy Mail delivery. Not the flowers, but the clock. So let's go play. Hello everyone, I'm Lula and this is NerdGoblinart. So I have this lovely clock mould which was sent to me as a Happy Mail from Kirsten, and I truly appreciate it. I have an Amazon wish list in the description box, and she got that clock sent to me, and it came with 2 mechanisms as well, which is really cool. The dried flowers are from Temu. They've been sitting around in my drawer for a while, and I decided that it was time to do this mould. I'm adding some diamond frost. I'll list that in the description box as well. And I'm adding that to the resin mix. I'm using Apex resin, and up on the screen is a 15% off all products with Apex resin by using NerdGoblin 15. But don't worry if you can't note it down at the minute, because that's listed below as well. Isn't that handy? And there's a bunch of other discount codes and such down there as well. Just having a bit of a nosy at the packaging. I've looked at it, but I've not actually taken it out. So there's these little thingies that you pop in for the clocks, and you get one like a gold and one silver. So that's really cool. So I don't know which one I'm using yet. We'll see at the end when the make is finished. So it's gonna take, I think, 3 pours. It's a pretty big mould. I don't have any deep pour, so to err on the side of caution, I'm going to do 3 pours. I'm going to do it all in one day because I've started off pretty early, and I'm going to be using my heat mat too. So this has had a good mix now, and I'm using the dual head mixer from Resiners, and I'm still really enjoying using it. It is super handy and really easy to clean, so really enjoying that. I also have a discount code for Resiners, which is up on the screen now. You can get 15% off by using NERDGOBLIN. Use it. Honestly, it's really useful, and resin is expensive, and you know, all the bits and pieces that come with it as well. So, you know, where possible, get those discount codes used. It's, you know, like I said, it's expensive stuff. So regardless of using the mixer, I always make sure to give the pot a good stir around, getting around the sides and the bottom as well. Because I'm using dried flowers, I'm going to pre-spray the mould with some isopropyl alcohol. I use a 99.9% one, and I just get it from Amazon really in a big bottle, and then decant it into my spray bottle because that is a much easier thing to do. But I also make sure that I'm wearing the correct PPE. So I'm wearing gloves, I'm wearing an apron, and I've also got my mask on too. You don't want to be breathing that stuff in. It's not good. It doesn't really taste very nice either because when you do spray it, and if if you forget to have your mask on, because it can happen. You know, I've started a few projects, sprayed it, then I've remembered. The resin that I use, that it doesn't smell at all, so sometimes you can just start cracking on, and because you're so used to the work, sometimes you do forget, and then as soon as that isopropyl alcohol it hits you, you're like and gets the get the mask on straight away. So I'm also using my heat gun, and I used my silicone tool just to go all the way around the edge and around where the clock face will be going. Also a good idea to give it a bit of a tap and a bit of a shake, just what I'm doing there, and even lifting it up and dropping it down at this point, because I'm able to, as it gets a bit, a bit more full. It's not as easy to do that, but it's nice to be able to do it with a mould. I do often forget, and sometimes molds are just too full. I've just put some of the resin into a smaller cup, and that's just so I can dip some of the pieces, pre-dip them to try and help with less bubbles. As usual, I'm not massively concerned about bubbles. It's my first time pouring this mould as well, and I'm just really chuffed to be having a go at making one, but it's not a massive concern to me. The only thing I don't want is holes. Excuse the cat noise, it happens every evening whenever I seem to be recording. They're all fine and they know I'm here, but I'm also giving them a spray of isopropyl alcohol as well, and of course, because you're working from the back, you need to make sure as well that you're putting the flowers in the right way round. You don't want to have you don't want the back head the wrong way round and such. There's no full-on plan at this point. I'm not a flower arranger kind of person, but I know what I like, kind of. But as I said earlier, the flowers are actually from Temu. I was actually pleasantly surprised when I did order them, because I've ordered dried flowers before, and I do it, and I know lots of us do it. We don't always read the description on Temu. and a little tiny pouch will turn up with like the tiniest things ever in, but I actually got an order right for a change, so I was really pleased with what came. And they're not bad at all either. The packaging was great, to be fair, as well, so they didn't come all crinkled up and looking dramatically awful, so that's a good thing too. There's some little ones here. I would have preferred to have another one of these larger type faced flowers. I really want to have a try at drying my own, but I'm not sure at the same time, but I want to try it just for the sake of trying it. I don't have many flowers in my garden. I tend to have wildflowers in certain areas because I have a tortoise called Marmite, and I purposely like to have the weeds that he prefers to eat, and the fuchsia. The only really pretty thing I have is the big fuchsia tree planty thing, and he really likes eating those as well. But my parents love their garden, and they have pansies and tulips and all those sort of things going on, and I've already told them I'm going to be stealing some. So what I'm going to do is Andy on Custom Carving and Epoxy Resin UK. It's a very long name, Andy. On this coming Tuesday, he does interviews, and there's a lady coming on, I believe, that will be talking about specifically the drying of plants and stuff. So I'm interested in that one, and I'm gonna give that lady a follow so I can learn more about it. So yeah, I don't mind using the dried packages and stuff, but like I said, when you order from places like Temu, they might not turn up in the best. They've come from a long way, and they might not turn up in the best state. And I don't believe you can really choose the package you get either. So, it's a game. So you may or may not get a really good batch and mixture and stuff. And I'm mixing up 2 different packages here. So yeah, I'm definitely going to give her a try, and I'm going to order some silica, I believe it's called. And I know Tim, the base resonator as well, he does a lot with his flower, because he grows some really beautiful flowers in his garden in Texas, and he does put a lot of flowers and such into his resin works as well. So, you know, I really want to give it a try for, you know, just so I know that I can do it. And I think the thought of creating something from start to finish is really cool. And I'd love to, you know, use some plants or flowers that are specifically from where I live in the UK, because I'm aware that there's a lot of stuff that grows here that doesn't grow, say, in Australia or America. And so, you know, it might be interesting, and I can get some really nice ones, especially from my parents' garden. And their neighbour was by when I was visiting. They were like, you can take some of ours as well. So I'm like, that's cool, thank you very much. So yeah, I think that's a cool idea. So you can see, as I've been waffling, I've been dipping some of the plants into the resin and spraying with the isopropyl alcohol. And these are pretty. I have no idea what they are. Tim might be able to tell us. But I have no idea. My mum could definitely tell me. She knows all the names of all the plants and stuff. I kind of wish that I'd paid more attention when I was growing up. But all I would do was obediently go and water them in the evening, you know, if it was a hot summer's day and my parents were working, and they'd instruct me to like go in the greenhouse and spray their thing, you know, all that kind of thing. But I never actually learned much more than that. And I could weed. I'm a good weeder. I'm very good at weeding, because that was one of my chores growing up. But you know, I'm not sure I've got the capacity to learn anything else anyway. The concern is that I'll learn something new and something old will disappear from my brain. I'm at that age now. So I am still using a combination of the isopropyl alcohol and my heat gun. I'm trying to be gentle as well, and still giving it a bit of a tap and a wobble, just to encourage any bubbles that might be getting caught up with these dried flowers. And I'm enjoying mixing it up a bit as well. The packages were both very different, but I like the idea of it being like wildflowers. And as I was making it, because as I said, I didn't have a plan, so to speak. I knew that I wanted to implement stickers as well, but at the same time I didn't want to make it about the stickers. Now, they're going to be fairies and butterflies, but I didn't want them to be the focal point. Bilbo Baggins! I didn't want to make that the focal point. In my mind, I wanted them to be in amongst the flowers, so that they're just basically peeking through and you can't quite see them. But I think I was enjoying this so much, I just kept going. As you do, you know, you get I get hyper focused on stuff. I have traits of ADHD, and one of my superpowers is hyperfocus, but it can also not be a superpower sometimes, especially when you forget to eat and drink, and you know, you have to have like a Mr. Goblin saying it's time to have a rest, it's time to stop, it's time to have something to eat and drink, you know. But, you know, that's just me. But I know loads of other people are like it. Bilbo Baggins! I'm here! Oh my goodness, the door's open. The door is literally wide open and he's moaning. We have 4 cats. And I know which ones, they all sound different when they meow. And that is Bilbo Baggins. He's the oldest one. He's only just gone 1. Yeah, we were crazy. We got 4 cats, all like 1 and just under. He's singing the song of his people, apparently. So there we go. I'm not sure why I was wiping the top of that. I don't know. I don't think. I just don't know. I probably should have thought of snipping a few of them with scissors before I actually put them in. Now, I stopped for a moment. Okay, I stopped the recording and stopped the video for a moment while I'm editing. And Bilbo stopped chattering. And the second I started talking again, he's like, meow, 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 meow. I think he just wants to be part of the video. I really do. I really think that this cat just wants to be part of the videos. Thank you to my subscribers. And thank you for your comments, your shares and your likes. I truly and really appreciate it. It makes me so happy. It's one of my favourite things. The evening following or the day after premiere is checking out comments and seeing what you thought and what you were thinking about the video. So thank you for that. And if you're not a subscriber, please do consider becoming one. It's a great, we're building a lovely community and it's just great fun. And you can hit that bell that's just below and you won't miss any videos uploads. And there's also a membership that I have going on. It's only $3.99 a month and you get loads of little perks, including, at least where possible, a early access video per week. You'll also get access to the Nerd Goblin albums. There's pictures I share, you get sneak peeks and things like that. And I need to be getting my first members giveaway sorted as well, which I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days. And it's going to be a case of being one of my makes that you get to win. And it's going to be smaller ones. It's not going to be things like this clock because it would weigh a ton. And postage is terrible. But still, consider it. You can leave at any time and I won't be sad. Not really. Probably I'll cry. But, you can leave at any time, but don't. Don't do it. I'll cry. It's ugly seeing a goblin cry. It really is. Is at this point now, I've probably put too much in. And I don't want to take any of it out. And I've just enjoyed myself. It's just been really fun. And it's like a schema, isn't it? If you've ever heard of schemas, look it up. It's really interesting stuff. Children have schemas, people have schemas, and it's like the need to fill up an empty space. And I think that's what I was doing. I was like, la 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 la, just enjoying listening to a podcast while I'm doing this. So yeah, there we go. Excuse my face. Well, it's my mask, but I just wanted to make sure that I was making sure that there was no bubbles like in the bottom lip of it. So I think it's more or less getting to the point where I'm gonna finish and leave this part to cure. I will keep an eye on it for a little while after I finish filming, just to, look out for any of those dastardly bubbles. But then we'll be on to the next part. So I've made up some resin, and I've already added, I believe I've added some glitter to it, and I'm going to be adding these lovely little flower fairy stickers. Now those are from Amazon as well. I did have a look to see about adding it to my description box, but I couldn't seem to find them. So so this is 8 fluid ounces of Apex resin. I'm not going to lie, this particular mold does take a lot of resin, but you know, I think it's worth it. I definitely think it's worth it. So I'm just scraping out all of it. I'm trying to I like to reuse my cups as much as possible, so you know, scraping them out really well, you know, it really helps with the cleanup afterwards. So I'm not going to be removing the backs of these stickers. I'm going to be placing them where I hope there's some gaps to see through the front. As I said, I didn't want to make them I keep forgetting how to say focal. I keep thinking vocal in my head. It's fun when you do have a speech impediment and you got to really think of how to get your words out properly. And words are hard anyway. You know, normal words are really hard for me to say. You know, this is the fibro fog for you. But aren't they pretty? I love them. They are such pretty stickers. Well, illustrations, artworks. I really like them. So I'm pre-spraying them with some isopropyl alcohol, and I'm trying to be wary of how I place them down as well, because you know, you can get some bubbles sitting in front. And I'm just making sure to use my silicone tool as well. And every now and again you'll see me dipping in a little bit, because there were a few bubbles in the back of the previous pour, and if you do what I'm doing there, you can fish around in those with the holes there, and it'll bring up more bubbles and let the resin settle then into those spaces, just like that. So I want the fairies, and I've pulled out a few of the butterflies as well. I want them to be like peering, like as if, you know, you could be looking at the clock and then you could actually suddenly, oh, there's something else in there. So I didn't want to make them obvious. That is a super cute one of that little boy fairy running. Oh, I love them. I used to have, when I was growing up, I used to have bedding with flower fairies all over them, and little bags and stuff like that, you know, I don't even know what I carried around in them, probably like little toy cars and stuff like that. I didn't like dolls, wasn't a doll fan, but you know. And that one's lovely as well. So that one can go higher up, because it looks like the fairy is like climbing to the top of a flower. So yeah, so like I keep saying things and then forgetting and going off on a tangent, sorry. Yeah, so I want it to be like magical in a sense that you're looking at the clock and you see the flowers. That's your first thing you're going to see, and then you'll notice something, and that's the fairies. I want it to look like you're almost looking into a bit of a magical space, and you're spotting these lovely little flower fairies and stuff in amongst all those flowers. So you know, that's the look I'm going for, and I like the sparkle look that the diamond frost is giving in the clear resin. The final pour, I do debate for a little bit. When I was actually doing this part, I was, you know, looking at the clock like, I'm going to put the mat on. I need to come back in at a certain time just so I can burnish in some pigment powder, then give her the black pour. And then I decided a little while, I don't need to do that. I can just, you know, I can just pour in some colours that I like. And you know, yeah. And I just dropped that straight in. And the butterflies as well, I didn't want them just pointing upwards. That's the cool thing with these. They could be flying upwards or downwards, you know, and that's a good thing to do. Still using the isopropyl alcohol as well, and I'm going to be using the heat gun. But the heat gun, I'm just being very careful with it. The stickers aren't really going to go anywhere. As I say, I'm going to keep an eye on it for a little while until I'm happy. It's such a big mould and you're using so much resin, it does heat up fairly quickly as well, and you know, then there's less chance of anything moving around anyway. And once again as well, just, you know, just to say, just in case, this is the back. So making sure that anything you're using, like this, obviously I said it a few minutes ago, with regards to the flowers, making sure you've got them the right way out. And it's the same with the stickers. You know, this is the back, so we want to make sure. I did make that mistake a while ago when I did the axolotl mould for the first time. I managed to get one of the flowers the wrong way round in there, and I was like, ah! But it's not terrible. My sister has that one as well. That makes she has it in her house. She quite taken by it, so I gave it to her. So I'm nearly done now putting these in. I think I've got one more butterfly, and I think when I've been doing stickers into resin, I really do think it makes a big difference pre-spraying them. I think it's worked for me. So this layer needs to cure, and as I said, I'm going to keep an eye on it for just a little while, just to make sure these stickers don't move around too much. So I'm happy with the positioning of these. So yeah, on to the next stage, and I'm using my mat still, the heat mat. Here we go. The last pour of the day. So I'm mixing up the last, and I'm going to mix in some sky blue mica powder by Let's Resin, and I'm also going to add in some super sparkle white. I got this from Mini Scenes GB, and as usual that will be linked below. Oops a daisy. When you use these mixers, you need to make sure, this particular mixer, the dual head mixer from Resiners, when you're pressing the button to lift it up and down, the little metal poles, you'll see like little nubs, I call them nubs, and they'll pop in and out of there. Just make sure that otherwise it'll just drop down like it did for me. So I'm also going to add interference powder, and this is a blue one. We're just having fun really. It's just like mixing up magic powders and stuff and making a potion. And it's really cool to use the mixer itself as well, because that's a silicone spatula, so it's nice and easy to clean, and you save yourself from achy wrists and stuff from mixing in, especially the larger portions, and it's easy to clean off, as I said. And I do tend to notice that using the mixer, I'm using cyan as well. It's a really lovely colour shift from Let's Resin. It's the first time I'm using this particular colour, but I have been using a few of the other colour shift colours, and it's really nice, and just mixing it in here it just adds an extra element to it. Really pretty. I'm actually looking forward to using that colour in something with like an ocean colour, I think. I did it again, went off on a tangent. So I have noticed since using this mixer, I am getting a lot less bubbles, which is really cool. But regardless, I'm still making sure to mix up the sides and making sure that the bottom is all stirred in, just to make sure, because you don't want to have resin that's not mixed properly, because it's not going to cure and is a lot of work. There's a lot of resin to waste as well. So because the bottom one is cured, I've sprayed it with some isopropyl alcohol, and I underestimated how much resin I was going to need for this final pour. This was another 8 fluid ounces that I added. So in all, I think this mould takes around 24 to 28 fluid ounces. So yeah, it is a fair amount, it really is, but it's worth it. I think it's a really lovely mould, and I am looking forward to doing this again. I just want an idea of what I want to do. So I've scraped all that out. I'm not going to film putting in a last pour. I do want it right to the top, just because I don't want a lot of overage and sharp ends. I'd rather try and get it poured and not have too much to tidy up afterwards. So I'll do that off screen. But again, same as I did with the other pours, still making sure that I'm using a silicone tool to go around the edges, using the isopropyl alcohol and the heat gun. And I will keep an eye on it for a little while after this too. So this is all cured, and I'm nervous. I was in one of the other creators' premieres while this was curing, and we were all chatting, and I said I'm oddly excited, nervous, which is really strange. But you do get this way about things because you want it to work. It is so much resin to use up, and right, here we go. I am really pleased with it. I love the colours. I love that blue. I really do. Yes, there are bubbles. Absolutely there are. But for a first attempt, I am chuffed. And the bubbles in there are raindrops. That's where I've decided. So little raindrops and bits of dew. But this is the issue that I now face, is deciding on what colour clock face to use. So at this point, I am calling Mr. Goblin, who's busy. I think he was busy cooking at this. I think he was cooking our tea. As British call it, our tea, as in dinner. And I know that confuses a lot of Americans, but that's what I was doing. So I'm giving it a stroke, loving on it a little bit while I wait for him. That's looking really lovely, isn't it? I'm really pleased with that. And I don't want to cover it up either. I don't want to cover up the work. So I've got some dew drops in there, see, because it's been it's dew droppy kind of morning. Still waiting for him to come. I'm like, Martin! And he's like, the gold one. I was like, which colour? And he's like, the gold one. So I'm just checking. AAA batteries these take, which is good because I've got some AAA batteries. Didn't think of that, but there we are. So another little look. Isn't it lovely? I am so pleased. I am really, really pleased. So got a battery, and for some reason can't get it in. And at first I was like, it's come from like Temu. Is it potential that their AAAs are a different size to our AAAs? But no, it was just me. So pop that back on, and faffing around trying to find that so I can get to the correct time. And this make I finished at 5 to 7 in the evening, and I started it at around, I think, 9:30 in the morning, so it's not bad going. It's been a waiting game. So this pack got me, I honestly, I was a little bit confused. So I knew that these needed to go in, but I wasn't sure if I was doing it right or if they needed to go in, if I was putting them in the wrong way yet. But then the other way, the other side of these prongy things wouldn't have fitted in there anyway, so I don't know why I was so worried. So there we go, in it goes, and you can pull it out again to change the battery, which is good. So that's looking great. I might have to slightly line up the clock face. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I think it looks a little bit wonky. I'm really pleased. There is a like a problematic bubble on the back corner, and that's absolutely, you can't see it, so I'm not worried. It's not going anywhere. This clock is mine. I'm keeping it unless my mum decides she wants to steal it, and I won't say no because she's my mum. But yeah, really, really pleased. Isn't it lovely? You know, you can tell I'm stroking it, so pretty. So I've really enjoyed this. Thank you, Kirsten, for sending me this mould. I truly appreciate it. I hope you're inspired. Love you, and stay weird.
In a room full of colors and swirls, Nerd Goblin art draws a magic worlds, with foxes that prance and badgers that dance, a whirlwind of dreams with a single glance. Gerald the alligator grins so wide, in enchanted waters he loves to hide. Dragons breathe wonder with flames so bright, each creature born from a magic night. Nerd Goblin paints life in every brush, animals frolic in a vibrant rush. From canvases to tales they leap, in a realm where fantasy meets deep. The studio's alive with swirling paint, creatures so pure they